shadows of the Sunshine State, redacted is his home, lives a man named David Wright, who pens the great unknown. Diet Coke runs through his veins, a decoy wallet keeps him rich. Paranoia fuels his pen and creativity's his niche. Write, publish, repeat, it echoes through the air. A chorus for creators, a call to those who dare. With cookies as his compass and a pen that won't retreat, he journeys through the pages. Write, publish, repeat. Dave hosts a show where writers go to share their secret arts, interviewing minds alike, dissecting all their parts. Aspiring authors gather here, a place to find their feet, fueled by inspiration. Write, publish, repeat. Sometimes Sean comes on the show,
and OMG, he talks a lot.
On and on and on and on and on, he shares his every thought. But all those words he spews can on occasion hit the spot. Dude keeps the conversation lively, even when he ties it in a knot. Write, publish, repeat, it echoes through the air. A chorus for creators, a call to those who dare. With cookies as his compass and a pen that won't retreat, he journeys through the pages. Write, publish, repeat.
Hello and welcome to Write, Publish, Repeat. This is the first podcast Sean and I have done since our old one, self-publishing podcast. So we've been gone a while.
You've actually opened, I told you to open with that anxiety-ridden story you were just telling me, and instead, you opened with a lie. So,
Thanks for calling me out. What was a lie?
You're welcome. Well, one is they're both unintentional lies. One is...
Those are the best kind.
Well, I'm sure you don't remember because you were barely paying attention then, but the self-publishing podcast became the Story of Studio podcast about midway through.
Oh, it was.
and then, well,
it was always SPP to me.
Yeah, that's true. It was an unnecessary curveball, probably.
Yes.
But then we also, just for those following along at home, we did record, I want to say it was over a full year, of that other podcast with me, you, and Johnny that never got released.
Thanks for that, by the way.
You're welcome.
We wasted an entire year watching movies, talking about them, and recording the podcast that never fucking aired.
You know what? Dude, I have a pitch. I have a pitch for what to do with this. All right, here it is.
Patreon only.
No. I want to do what Peter Jackson did for Get Back. And
I thought you were going to say like Lord of the Rings and make it like a 15-hour, 100-hour podcast.
Oh,
one
actually,
episode.
You win. I like your idea better. Do you remember when Podium was all scrappy? And they, so Podium Publishing, publisher of the Martian and many other things since.
Yesterday's Gone.
Many of our titles, including Yesterday's Gone, mine and Dave's first thing ever. And Podium had taken Ed Robertson. What'd you say?
You lied now. Available Darkness was our first. Yeah.
Right, fine. Okay, fine. It was Yesterday's Gone, and then we published Available Darkness to Amazon, but Available Darkness was published on a blog first. Oh, wait, no, you're right. I'm a dirty, rotten liar.
Right.
Oh,
you
I'm
are
a dirty,
a
rotten
fucking liar.
Wait, hold on. I think I have it on my shelf, actually.
Do 50 push-ups.
I don't have it on my shelf.
Well, I don't care what the book says. I know when it was done.
Yeah, no, I just wanted a visual because it's Create Space, or actually it was Create Space, I don't know, but it's just all oversized and very obviously self-published where it was a long time ago.
You can always, it was our first baby, and as parents know, you can always fuck up the first baby. You just fix it on the next one.
That is how it works. So no, I was thinking, remember Ed Robertson had this fantasy series, and people on audio, they tend to download by length, right? Because you want your credits to have value. So they put like all of these books together into one box set that was like 40 some hours, and it just like lived at the top for a while. That was smart. But no, that's not the idea. What do you think of taking it and giving it to some machine learning that cleans it up and makes us look younger and sound smarter and around all of those movies? Because
that sounds awful. Because then we're setting the expectation where it's like one of those like dating apps where you like make yourself like all young and better than you are, and you show up looking like you. And they're like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, I actually, honestly, joking aside, I can't really imagine doing something like that. It just feels too weird. And it feels like I don't really like changing history, you know? I mean, actually, let's talk about this, because I would never object to fixing a book, changing a typo, changing phrasing that hit me if I'm going through a property again. In a lot of ways, I feel like books are kind of like software. You know, you can always upgrade the user experience, right? And put a new version of it up there. But that's not the same as changing history. That's just improving it. Where if you were actually, tweaking some machine learning thing, that is changing history. It's making it look like something better than it was. Or is it just editing?
I don't know. And I think we've already lost the audience because we just completely went off into a side tangent before talking about what the hell this show is going to be.
Well, this could be a good time to just pause, and either people can like peek into the process, or they'll never hear this. It's really up to our producer, Avery. Hi there, Avery. So Avery can cut this out because they are an amazing producer and they are producing our show. So we don't just go live like we used to.
Can they make me look less... so I don't have to look at myself?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. It would be funny to just have like a traveling blob around your face. Actually, that's a good place. Let's circle back. That was the anxiety-ridden story that you were telling when we started. So we were about to start, and it's taken about a half an hour to warm up because this.
Have we even said who we are?
No, we haven't.
We'll save that for the end of the.
In all seriousness, do you want to start over right now?
No, I love where this is going. We're setting bad expectations right up front.
Oh, I do love that. Okay, actually,
we can only get better from here.
Yes, Len, let me make this point, actually, because the best things that I have ever been involved with in my life, including like raising a family, building a business, is like really try to have an overall goal, a plan, and then I'm really okay kind of making it up as you go along. And
skydiving.
not so much skydiving, but yes to the mess, right? Like a little bit of jazz. I'm not much of a studio musician, although with client work, I kind of have to be a studio musician. It's like come in, play these notes, do them on time and all of that. But if I'm working on my own thing, I really do like to riff. Like that is kind of how I like it. And so everything that's been really exciting that I've grown online especially has been kind of made up as it went along. Like we were always making stuff up as we went along in the early days, especially within the time leading up to Yesterday's Gone, and then Yesterday's Gone, and then self-publishing podcast was making it up as we went along, and then Write, Publish, Repeat and the Smarter Artist and all of that was made up as it went along. And this wing, has already changed a lot in the last few weeks since we've put it together. And I really like living on the edge like that with, creatively.
Can we cue the Aerosmith song in here?
I am absolutely fine with this as is. And if you are too, absolutely.
Oh, I'm fine. Getting back to what you were saying, yeah, I was having a bit of anxiety before we started this whole thing. And first of all, I'm David Wright, and this is Sean Platt.
Thank you, Dave.
Anyway.
Well, one thing, too, is Dave is supposed to be the host of this. He's supposed to...
I am. not set up for that.
He's not set up for it. So, you guys, the promise is that we're going to get incrementally better here. Believe it or not, we actually have a lot of experience doing this. You just wouldn't know. You just wouldn't know.
We actually had a successful podcast.
We did, once upon a time. But this is...
People paid us for sponsored ads that we butchered.
Oh my God. I tell those stories and I cringe. Do you remember the time? Okay, so you guys, we did used to do ad reads. We really did have a successful podcast where we would get a substantial amount of money for a 30-second ad read. And it was enough where we couldn't say no to it, but we felt bad. Like, we felt bad because for the first year of the podcast, we didn't have any advertising and we were real pure. And then, they dumped a dump truck full of money onto our lawn and we're like, okay, we're going to sell the Canyonero.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it was a service that we used, and we wouldn't advertise something we didn't believe in.
No,
so,
we totally believed in the product, but
it helped with like production. I mean, that should cost
it helped
time
with
and
production.
money.
It absolutely did. Like, we were definitely taking our eye off the ball to record the podcast, and it was great, but it did help to justify it. And it was only supposed to be a 30-second read. I think the problem that we had with the read was that it was supposed to come midway through the show. And it was so disruptive. And so the only way and it was like a boiling the frog thing. It happened really slow where we were just kind of resentful of the ad read while also being grateful for the income. And it would get... By the end of it, I'm not even going to say where we went, but it went to some very obnoxious places 90% of the time because Dave name dropped somebody who shouldn't really be name dropped.
Where were we going with this?
It was the ad reads. It was the ad reads. We just would ramble and say terrible things, but it was funny. And the actual story I was going to tell was not about the ad reads. It was the time that our sales rep, the person in charge of our account, requested a call with you, me, and Johnny. Do you remember this? Okay.
No, I don't.
Okay, so I'm petrified because I know that I'm going to have to do the heavy lifting in this call with the three of us. And it's just like, I'm going to be reprimanded. I know we're going to be reprimanded, and I don't want to lose the account, but I also don't want to come back and do a sober reading of these ad reads. At this point, we'd rather just like not take the money. That was kind of how we were. So we just didn't want to have to give anything back. Like, that would have sucked. So it was
you owe us.
Let's get through this. If we lose the ads, it's fine. We're not going to go and read straight ads because our audience won't like that. And, we do want to be true to do it in our way. And it became clear within 5 minutes of talking to this person that they had never listened to the show. They had no idea how we were doing the ads.
Were they fired from their job?
Yeah, it was because the ads did convert. And that's the magical thing. And that's I think a really good lesson, actually, if we're going to bring this back to something tangible and a takeaway, is that if you are really genuine with your audience, that's what matters more than anything. And I feel like if we had done straight ad reads for that company, I don't think they would have converted as well as the ads that we did read because they weren't read. They were riffing.
What did this have to do with my anxiety about doing this?
Well, because you were stressed out. And I said, hey, you could tell that story because you were talking about how you don't like looking at yourself is what you were saying. You don't like looking at yourself. And then you started by saying, when I did the radio show in college, and I said, hold on, why don't we tell that story live?
Okay.
So, high school. That's right. Okay, fellow dropout. High five.
So, yeah, I have a lot of anxiety. I have OCD. I have tics. And, I know my tics. And it's almost like if you know what to look for, and now people are going to be looking for it. So I'm fucking myself here. If people are watching the video, they're going to be like, oh, there, is that a tick? Did he do it again? So, in my head, I'm like, what the? I should not be on camera ever. When I was in high school, I did a radio show, and I've always been nervous on the microphone, but when I got into the studio, the radio studio, there was no camera on me, and I could talk, and I was really fucking good at it. But looking at myself, wait.
Can we just
takes away?
Dude, can I just stop and congratulate you right there? Because I rarely hear you say things like, I was fucking good at it. And that's great. That's one of the things that we're working on is like...
Yeah, I peaked in high school.
Well, I do think that you're good at this, and maybe that's a good place to start.
Can we just have my camera off, and then I'll do the best podcast ever, or the best version that this can be of a podcast ever?
Well, maybe we should take a poll, and if people are okay with just a dark screen, you can just be dark.
You don't even have to do that. They got I forget what it's called. Holy shit! The gamers, some gamers use like an anime avatar, and it's really fucking weird. It'll be like some anime girl, and it's a guy doing it, but it's some anime girl. I go,
okay, but
like, what the fuck am I watching?
But you're totally fine with other people seeing you, right? It's more you don't want to see yourself.
Well, I don't want to be on air. Like, I don't want people to see me at all. I want to be the voice in the dark.
Got it. The voice in the dark. There's another podcast.
The last thing you hear before the lights go out.
So I do feel like I agree with you that we should be upfront about how uneven the show will be. And, you know, like you are getting...
Strap in, we're driving off a cliff.
Right. Under promise and over deliver from episode 1. Like, right?
Yeah.
I agree. But having said that, can we deliver a little bit? Can we start, talking about...
Yeah, if we must.
important things, maybe?
I thought we were just going to show up, shoot the shit, and, have a good old time. And, yeah. It's a nice way to end the week, a Friday, just, hanging out and chilling and talking and whatever. But if you want to deliver useful information, I guess I can't stop you.
I would like to do this. Let's promise 3 things before the end of this episode that we're going to do.
What? 3?
Yes, 3 things. What are 3 things?
It's almost over.
What are 3? Well, we have work to do then. What are 3 things?
You have work to do. I'm like, I'm going to sit back and let you. What are the 3 things, Sean?
All right. Fine. We are going to give a brief history for each of us. We are going to say what this show promises its listeners. And we are going to tease what we're going to talk about the next episode.
All right.
Wait, no. Fuck that. That's not actually valuable. That last one is a PS. You can't use a PS as one of the 3. So, wait, what was it? It was who we are. What to expect from this show.
Why we're here.
And a firm commitment from Dave that he will be prepared for next episode. Actually, he can't. That's another lie. He actually can't because we're going to record these 2 back to back, even if I go change a shirt. So it looks like it's a different day.
But I will not have changed my shirt. So people
then I really need to change my shirt.
I have wet hair again.
Dude, I absolutely need to change my shirt. And I'm going to have Avery edit this part out about me changing my shirt so that you'll just look dirty.
Fuck you. All right.
Yeah. So
back on track.
The third thing is you're going to give the audience a promise that you're going to be uber prepared with questions. Because here, you guys, just for those of you keeping score at home, here was my original pitch to Dave, which we'll talk about in the next episode. Dude, you're a journalist. You could totally run this podcast. You love giving interviews.
Yeah, when I'm not looking at myself.
I feel like why don't you just hide the screen or like move your side over so you're not looking at yourself and therefore not reminded that you're going to be visible to others?
Because then I'll be wondering what I look like and am I doing weird ass ticks and shit. So.
Oh my God. I'm so glad I'm not you. Every day. I'm just so glad. I mean,
you just wake up every morning, spring out of bed, and say, "Thank God I'm not Dave."
I try to live in a state of gratitude. Actually, I definitely learned that from Cindy. That's my wife for new listeners. She definitely taught me to live in a state of gratitude, and I do. And probably 34% of that is I'm not Dave. I love my creative spirit. I love my circadian rhythm, but I love not being Dave more.
I wake up every day and say, oh, fuck, I'm still me.
It must be miserable. All right, can we get to that list of 3 things before we're wasting any more of our listeners'
I thought we were down to 2, but okay. Yeah. So who we are, who the hell are we? You want me to go first?
You're the host, dude.
You say that, but I don't feel it yet.
All right, you guys.
Okay.
We're going to have to help him feel it. He can't get there on his own. We're gonna prop Dave up so he can be the host of this show. We're gonna have a serious conversation about this next episode.
Reluctant host of the episode. Can we just call me that?
Yes, I actually love that. I feel like that's a really
just...
appropriate title.
Oh, I got it. I got it. It's perfect. Okay. I'm going to wear a blindfold in future episodes. I'm going to have somebody standing to the side of me with a gun against my head. So it just looks like a hostage video all the time.
Dude, I actually love this idea. Can you get your son to do it?
I don't even need my son. I got like 4 neighbors that will do it gladly. Put a gun to my head.
Dude, I will find a production budget for this show if you do that.
So yeah,
you tell me what the price tag is for that. I'll find some side hustle that pays for it. I don't really care what it costs.
Back alley. Never mind. All right. So yeah, I'm David Wright, and I have written all my life, but I did not complete a book or a story even. Well, I did a few short stories I completed on my own, like when I was in school and working at a gas station overnight for like 12 years of my life.
How much Diet Coke did you drink in those years?
Well, back then I didn't drink Diet Coke. I drank the real shit, and that's how I got diabetes. I earned my diabetes. I was one of those pussies born with it. I earned it.
Do you have a T-shirt that says "I earned my diabetes"?
So,
or do they give you one of those like medallions?
They put it on your casket. Yeah, I would drink soda basically to stay up all night and work graveyard shift. And I've always been a night owl, so it was rather easy to do. I probably didn't even need the caffeine. But I would write and I would draw. I did comics for 10 years professionally and, my own thing. And I always wrote, but I never had someone to collaborate with, never wanted to collaborate with anyone. And then I worked at a newspaper for a while. Then the newspaper industry, just massive layoffs when the economy...
Is that where you learned the journalistic skills that you have since abandoned?
Yes, they call me Deep Throat. So 2008, my newspaper essentially folded because the housing market just died, and housing was a huge part of the advertising budget. And when the housing market goes, the whole community goes. Like you got the restaurants, everything is affected by the housing market. So newspaper lost a lot of advertising. They couldn't afford to have writers anymore. So boom, bye-bye, I'm gone. So at that point, I'm like, okay, what the hell am I going to do? Because I always wanted to be a writer, always wanted to be a reporter. And I got to do it for 3 years, and that was awesome. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start a blog then. I'm going to write like humorous Dave Barry sort of stuff. And I was a new parent at the time. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do a blog about parenting. And I'm also going to sell the articles, like a column, to little small papers throughout the country. That was the plan. So I come up with a name, Writer Dad. So I was preparing to buy this website, the domain name, but I wasn't sure on the name yet. So I'm like, okay.
This is so shocking to me that you second guessed yourself.
Well, I did. Well, that, and also I was looking for like the perfect web design and shit. Like,
of course
I was just
you are.
Yeah, fuck me. I'm so stupid.
Dude, I'm so the opposite. I bought the domain. I know I'm stealing your punchline right here, but I bought Writer Dad approximately 4 seconds after I had the idea. Maybe I should buy a domain called Writer Dad.
Yeah, well, if not for that, we never would have met, and this whole beautiful love story that we have would never have happened.
How do you feel that was 16 years ago?
Oh, Jesus, I feel old. So I didn't buy the domain name, and then when I did go to buy it, I was like, okay, well, I was worried about how I would sell it to newspapers, like Writer Dad. Is that really a good column name? So I come up with something that seemed more sellable, but then I was like, oh, fuck it, I like Writer Dad better. So I went to go back to get it, and some asshole bought it, and that asshole right here, Sean. So I'm reading this stuff, and I was so pissed. I was like, this motherfucker. And I have this thing where I think of stories and shit, like the movie The Sixth Sense. I thought of a story just like
I love it when you start talking about how you thought of The Sixth Sense first.
years before this movie come out. And I
King
went
Kong
to the
was also
movie
your
theater.
idea, right?
What's that?
King Kong was also your idea.
Before I was even born, you motherfucker. So I go to the movie theater. I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, he Inception. He got into my head, stole my movie, and now I can never write this fucking story. So Sean, did the same thing. Inception, stole my domain name. But I'm reading his blog at the time, and I was like, he was a new writer. He hadn't written before.
That was the first time I had ever
Right.
First time I publicly wrote, but also just the first time I had written since dropping out of high school in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. So I was very impressed by, what I saw. I was like, holy shit, this guy's good and natural, and there's like a comfort level there. And I then started my own website.
I remember the first compliment you ever gave me. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah. Because it was
Yeah.
the last one.
No, it was actually about the writing. I don't think it was the first. It was the first that I actually remember that I was like, oh, I love that. You said, you just
The
have
way
this,
the light captures your eye.
you said you have this way of turning a phrase that just makes me go, how does he do that? And I really liked that compliment. It made me want to be your friend even more than I already did.
Wow. It worked.
It
Yes.
worked. It totally did.
So I read his blog, and I started my own thing, and I come up with Blogger Dad, which is some fuckers.
It's basically the GoBots to my Transformer.
I had to buy fucking GoBots with my babysitting money because I couldn't afford Transformers.
Yeah, I had one Transformer
and they were Transformers.
and 3 GoBots. And let's all be real. The GoBots were like dog balls. They were the worst toys. They broke. The Transformers were awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, I asked to interview him for my blog, and we hit it off, and I showed him a story that I'd been working on since my gas station days, but never finished, never did anything with it. And it
Was that Available Darkness that I was wrong about earlier?
Yeah. So I sent him like a chapter or two, and I just, I wasn't looking for collaboration, I was just like, hey, this is a thing I do. Are you impressed? And he hands it back to me with like corrections, and I was like, the audacity of this motherfucker to correct my genius. But at the same time, I was like, oh my God, he made it better. And I was just like, maybe we should like do something together. And, I'm going to fast forward there because it'll take forever. But we just started working together.
Yeah, I really like your Sean impersonation, though. It was really good.
So we've been writing together ever since. We started with Available Darkness and moved on to Yesterday's Gone. We did a lot of serialized stories because that's what we love. Yeah, so that and then we started the podcast. Johnny was part of that, and we'll get to him later on and tell you what happened to Johnny, where his body's hit. Where he's at. Okay, I delivered one. Now your turn. Will that be number 2?
Okay, well, I'm still part
And
of
is it
number
really
1.
useful that I'm delivering this, who we are?
Yeah, no, that was good. You really fell apart at the end there. But
Because I was getting sick of looking at myself.
But it was good until the transition, for sure. Yeah, I'll keep this snappy because I'm having deja vu. Right, like I'm not really capable of snappy. And I feel like we covered this ground in Johnny's episode, which I don't know if we'll be re-recording or not. We'll find out. But yeah, I'll just pick it up where Dave left off. When I met Dave, I was writing. Cindy and I had a preschool, and we were just like running a home full of children. And then when both of my children were in school, I was looking for something different. My wife, Cindy, is amazing and has this almost unreasonable faith in me. You could do anything, Sean. And I couldn't. I lost our house. And that's when I learned to write copy. Like I learned, look, I'm only making $1 or a penny a word is what I was making. A penny a word for 500-word SEO articles. And I decided that within 1 year, I was going to go from a penny a word to $1 a word. I needed to become a really excellent copywriter to do that. So I spent a year just kind of devoted to learning the craft and getting the clients. And then I moved to Ohio with a copywriter who compensated me well. And I stayed there for a few years until Kindle. And then it was go time. And Dave and I came up with the concept of Yesterday's Gone, which he says we wrote a serial because that's what we love, which is so adorable when he says that. That's why he wrote a serial. I wrote a serial because it was the only way to make money substantially in a short period of time on Kindle back then, because 99 cents was the only way you could get visibility, and I wasn't willing to write books for 99 cents, but I was very willing to write episodes and funnel readers into a season, which was a win-win for us and the readers, because we could get our 70% royalty and they could get a value-packed story of like 150,000 words for $5 or $6. So that we did that, and it was great. It was really fun. Those were the glory years. We did the self-publishing podcast with Johnny, which the podcast was actually Johnny's idea while I was trying to promote Yesterday's Gone, which was not effective at all. The best thing about my promotion for Yesterday's Gone was that I did a stopover on Johnny's blog, and then he suggested that we start a podcast, and Johnny was great at setting it all up. Dave was super suspicious of Johnny, but it didn't last long. We all became fast friends, and I think the magic of that.
I trusted him in about 6 years.
Yes, right about the time that we ended the show.
Yeah.
But it was a really, really great time. We could feel like we were having an impact on the industry. You know, you already, even if you're a new listener, you can already hear how all over the place and rambly we are. And that was kind of the best and worst thing about the show. And after a year and change of doing that, Johnny and I decided to write a book that took all the things that we talked about, the themes that we talked about, you know, for all that time on the podcast, and put it into a more linear structure where we were on target, on topic. Although hilariously, I just revised the whole thing and put it online, which we'll talk about in the next episode. And it is wordy as shit. So like, it is like the podcast, but now it's a cleaned up resource. And it was just a really fun time. We moved really too fast. We broke some things, but we had a 5-year period there where it was just it was a lot of fun. A little too much business got in the way of the story stuff we were creating. And after a while, I really felt the need to retreat. And so we did. And we spent the next 5 years at Sterling and Stone, which was the publishing company I founded, transitioning from just being publishing, because it really became mostly a KU market. And we just weren't interested in writing that kind of content. Although now we've come full circle and we actually have a very robust KU department. But at the time we were transitioning to IP and film and television. And that was, you know, it's a long process. Hollywood moves very, very slow. And
Especially when there's a writer's strike.
yeah, last year was, right. So our first year was very successful. We had a lot of traction in our first year. And then we lost more than 80% of it. Like just boom, the strike happened and Hollywood got shuffled and we had to start over several months later. But that time ended up being really valuable. We rebuilt the business in some very specific strategic ways, and we have a lot more intelligence in the leadership roles. Like I'm really good at that first run, but I'm not as awesome a CEO as the company deserves at all. And our new CEO, Neve, is amazing. And when she became CEO, David Shepard is his name, but he's Shep because we have like way too many Daves in the company.
To be fair, any more than one is too many.
Yeah, it is an abundance in our. It's weird as a ratio. Like 10% of the people in the company are named Dave. It's just weird. But
They're all really me. I'm playing y'all.
Dave's cloning himself all over the place. We just really rebuilt over the last year, and then we got to a point where the company is running really fluidly, and I went off to play in a couple other places, including getting this going again, because I've been real quiet for many years, and it just feels really good to kind of be out and about again. And Write, Publish, Repeat was one of the first things we started, and I know we'll talk about the whys and what's of that next episode. What's the second bit of value that we are imparting our listeners with?
Hell if I know. I think we should just end right here. That was a great ending, great cliffhanger.
All
You
right.
want to know why?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. You're the host, so that sounds great.
Yeah, fuck it. We don't need to deliver value.
All right. Now, the question is, should we pause while I go change my shirt? Should we pause while I change my shirt and you prepare for the next episode? Or are we just going to subject our listeners to whatever happens after I change my shirt?
Yeah, we can pause.
Good.
So thank you for listening. Do we have a call to action to end this episode with?
I would hope that the host would be prepared with something like that, but
You
since not,
would think that.
I would think that.
I left a place for you in the notes, and I saw you. Yeah, you didn't say anything.
Yeah, I believe that we will have. Yeah, you know what? We will tell you what the CTA is on the very next episode because.
Well, there's something to look forward to.
Well, yeah, it's actually one of the things that we're developing, and it actually just came along this week, and Dave just delivered his part of it this morning, or actually yesterday. I saw it this morning. He did not miss that deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to sign off, Mr.
Yes.
Mr. WPR?
Thank you for tuning in or tuning back in. I miss doing this, and I look forward to the audience reaction and reading the hate comments for all the people that are like, why the fuck are you just rambling? So, yeah, awesome.
Thanks for putting that in the audience's mind. Appreciate it.
Yeah.